On tonight's episode, Cameron Maybin, former center fielder for your New York Yankees, and we'll be talking about life after Soto. Can the Yankees actually be better in 2025 than they were in 2024, and what pieces are needed to put them over the top? Plus, is Aaron Judge about to go on a revenge tour in 2025? And the Martian is going to be taking over in the outfield, but things have been a little bit shaky out there for him. Cameron Maybin has his advice next. This is Pinstripe Territory.
Just wanted to talk, that's all.
All right. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back. Special late night edition of Pinstripe Territory. Special guest tonight is the aforementioned Cameron Maybin, who played with the Yankees in 2019. Cam, how you doing, man?
Man, I'm good, bro. It's been a good day. Anytime we can talk Yankees baseball, it makes it a little bit better. Nice little nightcap. You know what I mean? Talking
That's
Yankees
what I'm saying,
baseball.
man. After we finish this podcast, I'm gonna have myself a glass of wine, play some Call of Duty, and that's how you finish a Friday night, my friend.
You know what? I was locked in on Call of Duty. My kids have got me to switch back over to Fortnite, so I've been locked in on Fortnite. But I'm not a team type of Fortnite guy. I'm a solo battle royale type of guy, but I miss Fortnite, but I do love Call of Duty, so I'm gonna have to. I gotta get your gamer tag. We gotta get on.
All right, yeah, we'll set that up. I'm ruthless on there, man. Though I hope you can hang.
No,
all right.
I like playing for fun. I don't claim to be nice. I just enjoy it.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about the Yankees. I wanted to have you on tonight because you've seen a lot of baseball. You have played parts of 15 seasons in Major League Baseball. You know what it takes to compete, to build a team that can compete, more than just one or two stud players. Obviously, the Yankees had some issues last year that were covered up by the fact that their order, especially the top part of their order, was historically productive. They're not going to have that luxury this year. They've tried to build a better team, more pitching and defense. Max Fried, Devin Williams, Cody Bellinger, Paul Goldschmidt. My question to you, as a former player, which team would you have a tougher time gearing up for? The 2024 team that had that tandem of, Soto and Judge, or the 25 team, which probably has a little bit better pitching, maybe a little bit more well-rounded, but doesn't have that lethal tandem at the top of the order?
That's a tough question. Anytime you have, Juan Soto, who is one of our generation's best hitters, when you talk about controlling the zone and controlling that bat, making pitch adjustments, pitch to pitch, not just within that bat. And then you have one of our greatest power hitters, prolific power hitters that I've ever seen. Like you said, parts of 15 seasons, and I've seen all of them. I've seen Gary Sheffield. I've seen, my favorite right-hand hitter was Miggy Cabrera. I played with him. I've seen Albert Pujols. I've seen a lot of them, man. We're talking about Aaron Judge possibly being one of the greatest power hitters to ever play our game. So when you have that tandem, you saw those guys carry, right? There were points in times where, I was hoping there was ice ready for those guys because they were carrying. I know their backs were hurting when you look at what they were able to do, especially with some of the injuries throughout the lineup. I think the bullpen excelled last year. I thought they were a pleasant surprise. But when you look at what they have right now, for me, I'm a fan of, one, you have to have arms, right? You have to have depth. And I love what they've done in the offseason. I love what Cash has done. I think Cash, in the past has got a lot of, criticism for not making moves, not going out and, doing what the fan base thought was the right move. I know we a lot of us like to play couch manager. It's fun. That's what it's about as a fan. But Cash went out this year after not being able to sign Juan Soto, which one he gave, I think, a very valiant effort in trying to bring Juan Soto back. I think, for me as a player, and I love Juan Soto, I thought the deal was more than, suitable as far as an offer, right? I don't think there should be any Yankee fan that is complaining about, that offer from Cash and the Steinbrenners. I think they did exactly what they could, and hey, Juan Soto made the best decision for his family. But now when you look at it, I love the depth that they have, at the starting rotation. I love the fact that Cash was able to keep Clark Schmidt, right? That's huge. I think people don't realize how huge that is. When you talk about what they've been able to bring in, I think Clark Schmidt has been, in the conversation with a lot of trade talks, right? And he still might be right now. But as of now, when you look at that starting rotation, Garrett Cole, Max Fried, Rodon, Hill, Schmidt, and even with Marcus Stroman, who I know they're actively trying to shop, which is going to be tough with that player option. Seeing trying to get a team to bite, I love that rotation. I think their bullpen has got better, arguably. I think Mark Leiter has. I think Mark last year was huge for Mark Leiter, right? I think coming from the Cubs was big. And I say that because Mark Leiter isn't a stuff guy, right? He's a pitcher. He's a guy that's going to keep you out balanced. But I think he showed that he can eat some innings for that bullpen, right? I think Mark Leiter is going to actually be huge for the bullpen to keep some of those back of the bullpen guys healthy. I think he showed that, hey, throughout the season, he can do some things. I like Scott Efros coming back. He's a funky look. And again, who knows? It's not said and done. I think they could go add another maybe established veteran arm, right? Established bullpen arm if the price is right. And then I think I'm a fan of the veterans, right? I think bringing Paul Goldschmidt in, that righty, I think his approach, his career approach, right, being a middle of the field type of guy, a backside, being able to do damage backside. I think that feel will be tailor made for Paul Goldschmidt. I'm a firm believer that the good Lord put some people here to just hit a baseball, right? I was an athlete. I had to really spend a lot of time trying to hone my craft. Guys like Paul Goldschmidt, who also, take a lot of pride in, going about their game. That dude at 37, I think, again, and I said it before, the Bronx re-energizes players, right? When you're guys that are, for me, quote unquote, winners, he's shown that he's a winner. He's shown that he can be a leader. I think that fan base, I think the expectation, I think is going to give him a type of energy that he's missed, right? St. Louis is, I think, one of the best places to play, if not the best, right? As a baseball player, it's nice, right? They come, they want to see a good game. You don't get too many hecklers. If you make a good play as an opposing team, opposing player, they're going to cheer for you. But it's a very subdued environment, right? It's not a very harsh environment. They're not going to boo their guys for the most part, right? They're not going to get on their guys. The Yankees fan base brings a certain type of expectation, right? And I went through this. I felt it when I woke up at my spot in Fort Lee, New Jersey, and the first thing I thought was, I got to get my shit together. I need to make sure I'm mentally ready to go today. Like, I'm pumping myself up before I was on the way to the park because I know if I don't bring it, somebody out here is going to let me know. You know what I mean? Like, and for me, I needed that expectation.
Can I chime in?
Yeah,
I've woken up in Fort Lee, New Jersey a few times in my life too, and my first thought is always, man, I got to get my shit together. If you you look out the no, I'm just kidding to the Fort Leans out there.
Yeah.
So I think about the fans and the way that they can be a little bit rough in Yankee Stadium on guys who don't perform. And that makes me wonder, how are they going to treat Aaron Judge, who had such a great season? He won an MVP, his second MVP, should have been his third MVP, but he had a brutal postseason. Are fans going to have kind of a shorter leash with him? I mean, I think about his numbers. He had 322, he had 58 home runs. Fangraphs this year projects him to hit 283 with 48 home runs and 124 RBIs. And for almost every player in the league, that would be far and away beyond their highest expectations. For Judge, that's like 10% worse in everything, and it's still an amazing season. So I think this guy's incredible. I just think I'm on board with what you were saying all last year. You said, get this guy out of center field. Get him out of center field because you're going to wear him down. And look what happened. September, he was running on fumes. He had nothing left in the playoffs. I think playing in right field where he's more comfortable, not only is he going to be more of an asset defensively, his legs are going to be more fresh come October. I think this is revenge tour season for Aaron Judge. Do you agree?
Well, first off, which toe don't you need? Like, which toe do you think is the most pointless toe? Whichever one it is, take that one for me, and I'll take that season, like you said. I would take that Fangraph season. Just take that toe, and I like give me that season. Like, I would have gladly sacrificed that. Like, for me, I completely agree, Derek. I think what I know of my ex-teammate and I consider a friend, Aaron Judge is one of the most motivated guys that I've been around, right? He's going to be extremely hungry extremely driven, not only to come back and show that he is still one of the best players in the game in the American League, if not the best player in the American League, but that last year was just one of those, just like Monica. You remember that song, Just One of Those Days? That's how the playoffs was. It was just one of those days, one of those playoffs. Like you said, I really think center field took a lot out of him, not to make excuses, but I think even too, as much as also too, if you look at Shohei Ohtani, let's get this guy some DH at bats, right? Let's get him off his feet. Let's make sure we take care of the captain so that come October he is energized, he's ready to go and ready to lead the troops. But I definitely think this year he's going to be, on a kind of a vengeful type of tour to show everybody who he still is. And then just to go back to your first question, how the fans should receive him. This is how simple I put it. We just saw Juan Soto leave the Bronx, right, which I thought was a match made in heaven. I thought you would get the best version of Juan Soto in the pinstripes in the Bronx, again, because of the way the fan base carries themselves, because of the expectations of the Yankees organization. But I believe that Aaron Judge is going to do something extremely special this year. And, I think he's going to be extremely motivated. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited, man. And I can't wait to see what the big fella has in store.
I keep telling people 63 and 73 are both in play this year.
Facts.
When you get to the level that Aaron Judge is at an athlete, where you can basically excel for long periods of time and you're physically well beyond everyone else. I mean, to me, he's basically like a baseball version of LeBron James, right? He's just a physical force that's different, right? And I think he's going to be playing, and I hope this is the case, with a focus, with a Tom Brady or a Michael Jordan-like focus next year to just shut mouths, to just say, all right, I can't hit in the playoffs. Okay, watch me go win World Series MVP. That's my hope. But, still got to get there,
and also,
right?
Some motivation to also say, hey, that dude that left, he's really good, but I'm really, really good. Like, I can do this with a really good supporting cast. So, and that was my point. I forgot that my point was Juan Soto left and went over to Queens for a lot of money. Aaron Judge had an opportunity to do the same thing.
Yeah. And he said no. You want to be a Yankee.
Yankee fans, just for a second, when you get in your feelings and you start to want to throw Aaron Judge under the bus, just remember, Aaron Judge also did not have to come back. So just imagine right now the New York Yankees with no Juan Soto and no Aaron Judge.
Yeah. I'm going to try and remember that. I'm going to think back to this conversation every time he has a tough night. I'm going to think about how I felt when I saw that Arson Judge appears headed to San Francisco tweet, and I'm going to reset myself.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the Yankees' next moves here. We got a super chat here that I'll put on the board here. This is from New York Sports 12. It says, huge fan, Cameron. What do you think of the Yankees' chances to get Brendan Donovan from the St. Louis Cardinals? And also, do you think the beard rule should finally be lifted? I actually personally asked our colleague Katie Wu about Brendan Donovan, and she said the Yankees have been asking, but it's probably not going to happen. But the beard rule, I'm really curious about on your perspective.
Listen, why do we got to bring that back up, man? Listen, that was I know that was from a tweet. I pissed some people off. I'm one of those guys that I hate making people mad, man. I just want everybody to be in a good mood. But I made a statement about the beard rule, and it only came from my personal experience, right? And I'm not a guy who would ever start throwing names out there, but I played, like you said, parts of 15 years in the big leagues, 15 years. A lot of conversations about guys going to free agency, and at the time, who knows what they really would have done. But I played with guys who had said, like, man, screw that. Like, I was not cutting my beard off. I wouldn't do it. So I was only speaking from experience. Like, I get it. I'm not saying they should. I think it's nostalgic, right? I think it's a part of the culture. Again, when my agent called me and Judge went down for a second, I was back in the minors for the first time in over a decade. And my agent called me and said, hey, man, Judge is down. There's like a deal where it's essentially almost like the equivalent of a 10-day contract for for an MLB player. He's like, are you willing to shave? I'm like, when you said Yankees, I start looking for my razor. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, so it's one thing to say that you won't, or this and that from the conversations that I had. But when they call you, things change. So I think they should keep it the same. I think in the big scheme of things, dudes aren't really tripping, right? If the money's right, if they think they can win, I don't think any player is actually tripping. But it's a great conversation piece, right? So that's where I am with that.
I totally agree with you. I think it's kind of an antiquated rule, and it's the 21st century here. I mean, my banker has blue hair. It's like what people look weird now. Like whatever, who cares? Like you don't have to be like 1940s Wall Street to be an athlete, right? So. I wanted to kind of take a look at the players available still on what we call the big board here. The free agents still available, the trade candidates that are still out there, and kind of just take a look at what the Yankees still have available to them of the people that are available. So, Ha-Seong Kim is somebody that we've seen talked about. He could possibly fill one of those infield spots. Tim Hill, Tommy Kahnle, two guys who had success out of the Yankees bullpen. I don't see Alex Bregman just because of his price as being an option, but maybe if they were to move Stroman, maybe that's, seeing what the Dodgers are doing, just loading up and getting everybody, maybe that sets Hal Steinbrenner off to say, hey, we want to be the number one franchise again. Let's go out and get a premier third baseman. But again, they have some great minor league prospects that are infielders. Arenado's still out there. Arias is still out there. Alec Boehm is an interesting piece because he's a contact hitter. K. Brian Hayes is somebody who we've had calls about. I love his defensive ability, just a fantastic defensive glove. Hasn't hit yet, but I think he could. I think he might.
But he has glimpses of being, and he showed us that it's in there. And I also believe this. Analytics is real, right? And a lot of people don't really understand analytics is only information. That's all it is. It's information. The Yankees do a really good job of setting hitters up, getting them to understand what they do really well. So it gives them a much better plan when they go in the box. Hey, actually, even though I thought this is what I did well, I actually should be looking here. I actually should be doing this. Ke'Bryan Hayes is a guy who has a really, I think for what he showed, a really nice contract, right? That's extremely affordable. But defensively, I think he is as solid as they get. I think he can get better. But he's shown glimpses that offensively, it's in there. You know what I mean?
High ceiling kind of guy. And his dad played for the Yankees. His dad caught the final out of the 96 World Series, Charlie Hayes. Always liked him, played for the Yankees 2 times. There's some other guys out there. Nico Horner, I think the Yankees asked about him, and he would have probably been part of the Bellinger deal if that was going to happen. Brandon Lau for the Rays. You never know what the Rays are going to do. They're already paying the Yankees $15 million using their minor league field. But I don't know if there's an obvious fit here. I mean, K. Brian Hayes might be the best guy, but then it's going to be one of those. I think that's kind of one of those situations like they had with Didi Gregorius, where you get a guy who's not fully developed offensively and try and unlock him, right? But I wouldn't be opposed to that if they really think it's in there.
Well, I'll tell you a couple things just looking at this list. Like if I was only able to work off this list, a couple guys that stick out to me, especially when I'm looking at October, and I love what the Padres actually have done the past few years with their bullpen. I'm looking at a guy like, and again, I'm saying this not knowing the price, right? I don't know the price. I'm saying these names thinking that there could be a chance, and not all of these guys, but one of the other, or at least 2 of them. A guy that I've continued to say as a very good contingency plan, Ha-Seong Kim, I think would be extremely affordable. I don't love it, but I just think he would be extremely affordable. I really like what Jurickson Profar has done. I think in that atmosphere, he would excel. I think that's also an atmosphere that would bring the best out of him. Watching his energy, watching his confidence grow the last few years, I think he is in his prime, right? I think he would be a great 1 to 2 year piece. Tanner Scott, of course. Tanner Scott, right, watching what they did with the bullpen last year, Tanner Scott would be amazing. Ryan Helsley also. But the guy that I continue to talk about, I feel like he is a New York Yankees away from being in MVP talks. Luis Roberts. I know people are going to kill me for this. I love Jason Dominguez, his tools. I love his tools. I worry about him from the right side, right? And I worry about the defense a little bit. I do think it can get better. Left field is very tricky in New York. They probably can go pull it up. There's probably a clip of me. I botched a play one night where I went.
I saw it.
I went to the corner. And I thought the ball, I swear to, and I took a lot. I was a good outfielder, man. I took a lot of pride in my defense. It kept me on the field for a long time. I went down the line. I thought this ball was going into the stands. I jumped on the wall, ended up coming back. It was brutal, bro. Like the wind, it's the gap going to your glove side as a righty. It's difficult, right? And I say that to say Luis Robert has shown if he can stay on the field, and I think again, you're a little bit more motivated, I think, to play in New York than you are to play in Chicago right now. I think he needs that type of motivation. I also think the Bronx, right, with the Spanish culture, you look at this stuff matters. Like, I think the Spanish culture, too, around the Yankees is bigger than what people understand. Like, I think it would bring out the best in him. That dude is phenomenal. Like, for me, if they can figure out a way, and then that deal, that contract, like, as far as when you talk about floors and ceilings, his floor is still elite. Like last year's a mulligan for me. Bad baseball is contagious. It's extremely contagious. I'm telling you, bad baseball is contagious. It's not, like, I get it. You know, it's hard to have a good year on a really shitty team. Even when you have a good year, it's like 260, like you were the MVP of the team and it was 258, and it's like like you know what I'm saying? So again, a guy like him, I think he is special. I think his skills are off the charts. And I think if you had a guy like Luis Roberts in center, Cody Bellinger, and Aaron Judge, now you got problems. Yeah. And you can figure out the infield. You can figure out third base. You know what I mean? I think, but I love his game. I'm a huge fan. And he's shown that he can literally take a game over.
Well, let's assume that the Yankees don't get Luis Robert Jr. and that they stick with Dominguez, who was their number one international signing. He's a switch hitter. Loads of power. He hit 4 home runs in his first 7 games in the major leagues. Obviously, hits well from the left side, 880 OPS in the minor leagues last year, but struggled defensively. And as you said, struggled from the right side. You know, what advice would you give to a young kid who's, maybe had some defensive issues and is trying to come into his own in the major leagues defensively while he's also still trying to, unlock his skills offensively? And also, we have enormous expectations for this kid. I mean, this is a guy that, I've been talking all winter about what the Yankees need to replace Juan Soto, right? And you've got to make up a certain amount of production. I'll just put up a graphic here. I don't think we have Cam on the graphic, but, we see all the additions and subtractions, but the Yankees need improvement from guys like Volpe, Wells, Chisholm, and they're counting on Jason Dominguez to be like a big part of the roster. I think the Yankees are probably counting on him to hit 20 home runs and steal 20-plus bases. What advice would you give to him as a rookie, first year in New York, all this hype, trying to conquer the defensive side of the ball and trying to mature as a hitter?
Okay, so I just want to backtrack, right? I know I just said what I said, right? We just playing what-if scenarios with the whole Luis Robert thing. And I will say this, I'm a very transparent guy. Yesterday, I was literally sitting down here in my little area, and I started to tweet, Jason Dominguez is going to be an all-star this year. And I didn't have the guts to tweet it yesterday. I said, I started watching highlights, and I started going, okay, you know what? I'm going to hold on to that tweet. I'm going to hold on to it. I think he has the type of ability, and just being around him, when I was covering the Yankees for a short period of time, he has a very great pulse. It's at that age, to not be in awe of the moment, he's just right here. I was really impressed on how the moment just didn't seem very big for him. He was able to slow the game down, right? And I think the Yankees are in a situation where they should just get, like, this is your year, right? I like, if you're the guy, I think he has to go learn at the big league level. Like, he has to go get 500 at bats. He has to go and, see how these guys are going to pitch him. Lean on the hitting coaches to give him a great plan. But from the defensive side, I was fortunate enough as a, drafted player to go into an organization, Detroit Tigers, and I was behind Curtis Granderson. And I watched Curtis Granderson take a guy's job, because Curtis Granderson showed up early to spring training before the sun was up. He was, had somebody give him a short fungo. He was getting extra work on the field, not in the cages, right? We all want to work on our game. We all want to hit. We all have to hit. But Curtis Granderson was the first guy that I saw take a lot of pride in his defense. Just, I mean, extra work on extra work on extra work before the day even got started. So I think, I'm not saying he doesn't work, but I think it's a situation where he needs to go out there, have somebody get the machine going. And you don't have to run him all over the place so he's dog tired, but just get him used to just you working his hands, catching the ball different ways, over his shoulders, over his back, reps, getting jumped, going back on balls, coming in on balls. It takes a lot of reps, right? Whether it's off the fungo, the machine, you can make yourself a much better defender. But I think a lot of times throughout my career, you'll be surprised. Guys just take do the bare minimum when it comes to defense. And not saying he is, but I think that's a place where you can make yourself a much better defender if you put that work in.
So I was listening to a interview with Susan Waldman, the radio color personality. And she said, basically, she talked to Dominguez recently, and he spent a lot of the winter working on his defense and hitting from the right side of the plate, the two things that you brought up. So if those things are true and if that bears fruit, I think you can go ahead and send that all-star tweet. So final topic for tonight. Are the Yankees the American League favorites? I mean, I look at what's going around in the American League. I mean, the teams that have taken the biggest steps forward, probably the A's. I mean, A's aren't going to win anything. The Astros have gone backwards. They traded Tucker. Red Sox again. I mean, they got Crochet, but I mean, they still look terrified.
They're banking on Trevor Story to be healthy. You've got Casas. They got a good young athletic nucleus. That's what I do like about the Red Sox. They got some work to do, but they've done some work.
Yeah,
more than a lot of others.
Orioles lost Corbin Burns. I mean, that's a big loss to make up. Huge. Like, they're going to get better, like we said, how Yankees are counting on some guys to get better. I think that the Orioles are doing the same thing. They're counting on maybe Holiday to have that next step-up year. Maybe, Mayo, their big prospect, comes up. Henderson, Henderson faded in August last year. If he can keep it up for a full season, that's probably an extra 2 or 3 wins just based on how good he is. But the pitching, I mean, they really haven't added anybody of note that I can think of. Nobody big. I mean, none of the big stars. I think they added a couple of guys, but they lost Corbin Burns.
They get Bautista back, but they get him back this year, so that's kind of like a acquisition. But Corbin Burns is a huge loss. On top of even with Corbin Burns, if you look at it, they were kind of dealing with some rotational depth issues towards the end of the year.
Yeah, I agree with you. Could be interesting. So, do you think the Yankees right now are the favorites?
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and can you put that list back up that you put up earlier? I like to see that roster. When you look at that roster, and you look at the rotation, when you look at that, man, listen, I'll take my 4th starting guy and my 5th starting guy against yours. And hell, if they can't get rid of Marcus Stroman, listen, let's just say something happens. If Marcus Stroman is your contingency plan, if somebody, if you have to eat innings, he gave you 150 innings, bro. I mean, they made it to the World Series. He did something along the season to help get them there. I'm just, whether you like it or not, he did his part. You know what I mean? So, and then you look at those guys at the back end of the bullpen. If you get J-Lo, if you can get that guy back, man, if that guy can stay healthy, he could be one of the more dominant closers in the game. Closers or backs, wherever you want to put him back there. Bridge guys, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, Loaizaga, Cousins, and Hamilton, who I think has some promise. And it's hard to not like them. It's hard to not like that lineup. Judge, Bellinger, Dominguez. I think Jazz a full year again. The Bronx gonna bring out the best in Jazz Chisholm. I mean,
30-30. 30-30. That's my prediction.
Man, stamp it. And I think he'll be more motivated to stay on the field. I'm telling you. One thing I had to learn early in my career, right? Hurt or injured.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, it's about getting to the playoffs. Hey, Jazz, we need you. Are you hurt or you injured? You can play through. You can play through hurt. No, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can play through hurt. Injured is different. Like, so a lot of guys, I feel like nowadays, and you get a lot of training staffs, how you feeling? I mean, we'll give you a day. No, forget that. We need you in the lineup. The Yankees need Jazz Chisholm's energy, his athleticism in that lineup every day. You know what I
That's
mean?
one thing
So
that I think Soto added to the Yankees last year was he taught guys how to play every day, and he made Aaron Boone a little less scared to pencil guys in there every day. Because you remember Boone, he was always swapping guys in and out. I mean, even when you were on the
absolutely.
ball club, he was changing lineups a lot. But last year, he kind of stuck with, the same first five at least most of the time.
Yep.
So, yeah, I think the Yankees are still my favorite in the American League, but we can't afford to lose a Judge for 2 months. We can't afford any major injuries. We got to pretty much keep these guys on the field. I still think one or two lefties out of the bullpen is a necessity. And we probably got
Absolutely.
to have somebody step up and make a huge improvement, whether it's Dominguez coming out of nowhere or whether it's Volpe, finally having that year. If you look at what Volpe did through June last year, I don't know if you remember that. He was hitting about 300 and he had about a 4 worth or the first, 2 months of the season, and then it went backwards. Like everything went backwards. I think he's got potential if he can stretch that out for another couple of months to be a big
Yeah,
time.
I'm so glad you brought him up. I'll say this, and this is an ex-player talking. I don't worry about Anthony Volpe. Anthony Volpe is in what, his second full season?
Well, this will be his third.
But he just finished his second
Yeah.
full season.
After playing 2 weeks at AAA.
And he did what? And the year before, he went what, 2020?
2020, only hit 209, but he raised his average 30 points the next year. Power went down, but good
First year in the
shortstop.
big leagues, in the AL East, won a Gold Glove, good shortstop. AL East is AL East is no joke, bro. I don't care. The Tampa Bay is gonna bring it every year. We see what Baltimore is doing. I mean, it just gets, we know what Boston's gonna do. Listen, I don't worry about Anthony Volpe, right? When you look around the league and look at what you have, I know people will scream Carlos Correa. No. Let Anthony Volpe play. Let him play. He's a strong kid. He's athletic. He's only going to get better. He's a student of the game. At the big league level, you get better with repetition. He has all of the traits, the physical abilities to be a extremely good or even above average shortstop in the big leagues, and that's my opinion. I really believe that right now.
34 game on base streak last year. I mean, that's one of the things that the Yankees are struggling with right now is we don't have a clear-cut leadoff man. I think it would do wonders for the team if he were able to claim that leadoff spot in spring training and hold on to it throughout the whole year. Last year, he won the leadoff job, and then around July, he yielded it. But I think he's got a potential to be a huge impact. But
you know what I worry? Only thing, one thing I wonder, and I could be totally wrong. Anthony Volpe, and he's a young guy. He strikes me as a thinker, right? Like I feel like he's a tinkerer with his swing, right? I just feel like he's a mechanical adjustment away. And I say this because I was very much like that. And I even go back to the year that I was with the Yankees. I had Marcus Thames. It was the most free that I felt. I mean, I've always had power. I had power coming up high school, early in my minor league career. But in the big leagues, I was turned into like a slap guy when I was with the Marlins. But I got back to being myself with, guys like Marcus Thames. And I think Volpe, sometimes he just looks like he's a little bit robotic and mechanical and he's in between the ears, right? And I just feel like he's a tinkerer and he's somebody going. I think he's a mechanical adjustment away from being like excuse my language, fucking nasty. Like
yeah.
I do, man. Like he's got the power, he's got the fast twitch, like he's got the frame, he's got a very durable frame. I like that about him. But I think he just tinkers too much. I think he needs to just get loose. Like go like a backyard setup. Like if I was playing with my buddies in the backyard, if me and Derek had the wiffle ball and a couple of root beers, we had like what would your setup be? Like go like that's your setup, loose, and then just like go from there. I think that would be my my advice or recommendation for him. I think he's just stop tinkering and just go fucking compete.
Yogi used to say, you can't hit and think at the same time, and I agree with that 100%.
Like sometimes I can just see it in his eyes. I played. I'm like, is it here or is it here? Or, and it's just like, am I too wide? And I think that is the only thing holding him back. But with reps, I think the dude is going to be a good player.
Well, there you heard it there first, folks. Anthony Volpe going to turn it around this year, have a big year. Cameron Maybin, you can catch him periodically on Foul Territory. Hopefully we'll get him back in the Yes booth at some point soon. We miss your amazing, colorful suits. I used to call you the Hannibal Lecter of color commentators.
I'm a bad man. But hey, if not, you know what? Just let me hop on here with you, man. I'm good.
Anytime, my friend. We're going to let Cam go. We're going to jump over to voicemails. Cam, I'll see you around the Foul Territory studio.
All right, my brother.
Appreciate it, guys. All right, let's go to voicemails here. We got a few calls here. This first one on K. Brian Hayes.
What's going on, Derek? Wanted to get your thoughts on this. I heard, anyway, that it was rumored that Brian Hayes wanted to demand a trade. And when you look at his numbers, his offensive capabilities so far have been pretty much anemic, real bad, but he does bring one of the best gloves in the game over at third base. My question to you would be, if the Yankees are willing to basically give up on the hope that they're going to have a 20 to 25 home run type of guy at third base and possibly buy into hopefully Hayes going back to where he was a couple years ago and trying to drive that average up to around 270, 280, somewhere in that range, and they hope for 10 home runs. Would you take that as a viable option, really, if he could hit that 270, 280, give you about 10 home runs, but bring that Gold Glove level third base to the party, really? And as we know, I mean, it really is just as important in baseball to keep runs off the board as it is to score them. 275, this is all theoretic, if he could hit 275, 280, whatever, at the bottom of the lineup, that could be pretty valuable. We like guys that...
I appreciate the call, Brian. You kind of moved the goalpost a couple of times, I think. I think you said 270 in the beginning, and then it was 275, and I think your last one was 280. Well, let me just say this. If Brian Hayes can hit 285, 290, he'll be all right. No, I actually wouldn't hate it. It's not one of those moves that I would be like, yeah, we got K. Brian Hayes. All right, he hit 233 with 4 home runs. But like you said, great D and run prevention, as we know, is very important. And if the Yankees picked him up, a guy with that low of a batting value, again, let's show it one more time, just the second percentile in batting run value, I think that, if they traded for that, I would think it would be because they think they can unlock something.
Hey, Derek, Eddie here. I was just watching MLB Network, and they announced that Sasaki signed with the Dodgers. I mean, when are the rich going to stop getting richer? This is something that the league has to do an investigation. I'm sorry. I feel there may be some collusion going on here. I mean, they get 3 top all-stars from the World Baseball Classic Japanese team. Yamamoto, Otani, Mel Sasaki. Who's next? Murakami? No. Honestly, there has to be something going on here. For me, the red flag is when Sasaki said that he doesn't want any players involved. I found that to be a red flag. There has to be some type of collusion going on. Not that I'm old enough to know that the Dodgers have been accused of this before with Strawberry and Eric Davis. Just want to, bring that up. I just find it very, very strange, but I think something should be looked into with this whole deal.
I don't think it's illegal to have a preset deal with an international free agent. The Dodgers already had handshake deals with a number of prospects that are in kind of the same category as Hiroki Sasaki, these Latin players that they asked to re-sign next year. And one of them got so ticked off that he took his act to the Pirates. Look, Ken Rosenthal was on Foul Territory today, and he had a really interesting statement about this. He said that if this causes more of an uproar in Major League Baseball, if this, concentration of international talent on one squad hurts the game, it's going to move us closer to an international draft, which is what Major League Baseball wants. And you know what? It's something that I want too.
Oh,
I agree.
hi, Derek. It's Hugh from Brooklyn.
Hey, doing, Hugh?
It's not baseball related, but Saturday night, so I know you're interested in UFOs. News Nation at 8 o'clock is going to have an Air Force veteran. He's a Tier 1 military man, and all that means, but he's recovered alien spacecraft, and he's going to be talking about that. He's a big-time whistleblower, so I think that should be of interest to you. Okay?
I think
all my best.
I think that's just the Martian's family stopping in for the holidays, and hopefully that spacecraft they took isn't too badly damaged after the crash. But I appreciate all the calls. I appreciate everybody who stopped in to chat. Once again, thank you to Cameron Maybin. And let's go get them. Baseball season coming up here, a few weeks away from pitchers and catchers. And just after that, spring training games. So stay tuned. As always, like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Hey, while I've got you here, be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel. Pinstripe Territory is the official Yankees podcast of the Foul Territory Network. We are home to the #1 most watched MLB postgame show on YouTube since 2021. We're here after every Yankees game and for reactions to all the best news and rumors during the offseason. Be a part of the show by calling into the voicemail 718-899-1068. Try to keep it clean for me. And if you ever miss us on YouTube, be sure and subscribe on all your favorite podcast platforms. Go ahead and rate us 5 stars. It'll help other people find the show. Thanks for watching. See ya.